Hello and welcome to this Bible study. This is the fourth Bible study I'm doing on the coronavirus, and I've entitled today's message, Responding with Service. Galatians chapter 5 verse 13 will serve as our foundational verse. Now it's kind of unusual maybe. We might not think a service is a way to respond to this pandemic that we are going through, but it is a real important concept, and I think that as a lot of times that we think that when something bad or negative is going on, well, that kind of absolves me from my duty to serve. And I think we'll see in this passage that we are not really free not to do that, but actually the requirement or the need to serve one another and to serve our community goes on no matter what is happening in our life. So Galatians chapter 5 verse 13 says, "For you, brethren, have been called to liberty, only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." So this is a really important verse, and in the context of Galatians chapter 5, there's a couple of things that kind of stand out. First of all, the Christian is free and should not be entangled again. That's verse 1 of chapter 5. The Christian is free from the law and the requirements of the law and should not entangle himself once again with it. And the second point that stands out is faith is important, being energized by love. So that's verse 6. So that's kind of the context of verse 13. As we come down to verse 13, these ideas are going to come out a little bit once again. So the first thing that we note is this exhortation to believers, or this command that comes to us as believers. We are Christians. And it says, "For you, brethren," this is how the verse starts out. It is an exhortation to me as a believer in Jesus Christ. And here is what he is emphasizing, Paul is, in this passage. You, brethren, you believer, you have a calling. This is a calling. Our Christianity is a calling. Jesus has called us to this. It is part of what being a Christian is all about. It is not a negotiable thing. It is not a give or take it or leave it kind of proposition here. We have been called to this. There is an expectation that is on our life. It is a calling. And I think a lot of times that unless we're a pastor or a minister or something like that, we don't see ourselves as having been called by Jesus. But that's not what this verse says. We have a calling. And notice the calling. This is unusual. The calling, and this word occurs twice in the passage. We have been called to liberty, to freedom. This is going back to verse 1 and a lot of what he says and Paul says in this chapter, in this book, that we are free from the law. And so here we are. We have been called to freedom. Now the question is, what do I do with my freedom? What does this mean? That I am not under the law anymore, but I am free. What does this mean in my life, that I am free? Free to do what? How should I handle this? And so this is really important. First of all, and primarily, free. We are free from the law. And now, as New Testament believers, this doesn't kind of, the thought may not always cross our minds, but this is really important. Now, our society uses this word a lot, freedom. And really, we use it in the context of, well, I am free. I can do anything that I want. And this is taking it in a wrong direction a lot of times. We are not really free to do what we want. That's not what freedom is all about. I am free from the constraints of the law, but now I am actually free from sin is kind of the next application of this. I am free from sin and from the bondage of sin. And the next application is, now that I am free from sin and its grip on me, I am free to serve God like I should. So this is an important understanding. I have been called as a believer. We have been called as believers. It is a calling. It is a calling to freedom. And he's going to bring out 2 points in this passage about freedom. First of all, do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh. So this is where we might say, our person might say, I can do whatever I want. Well, this is taking our freedom and using it as an opportunity of the flesh. We are not to to use our freedom to indulge the promptings or the desires or the impulses of the flesh. That is not what we are to do, to use our freedom for. So when we have been called to freedom, it is not a calling to do anything that I want, and it is especially not a calling to indulge my flesh or to live according to my flesh. So what is it a calling to? And here we see this transition, but don't use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but or instead, and here is the calling. This is what we're supposed to do with our freedom. We are to serve. We are to serve. We are free to serve. And this is really important. This is the heart of our calling. We are called to freedom to serve. One another is the last two words of this verse. Other people are the ones that we are to serve, especially other believers. So again, this is our calling. We have been called to serve. We are now free to serve, and we are to serve one another. And the last characteristic or quality of this service is that we are to do it through love. Now remember, faith is important, and faith is energized by love, and love is the means through which we are to serve other people. We are to have compassion for the needs of others, and through that compassion, through that love that we have for them, we are to serve and to minister to them. So this is what we have been called to. And in this time of the coronavirus, where we all have this stay-at-home order, the opportunities to serve can be diminished. So, for example, we come and when we were meeting in church, we would all come together and we would interact with one another and exchange with one another, and we would, rub shoulders with one another and talk to one another, and so we had this connection and this community, and we could often, know what somebody else had need of, or we might have an opportunity to serve. So, for example, some people are on the cleaning crew and they come once a month to clean the church, and that's an active service. But if nobody's here at the church, it's not getting dirty, we don't need the cleaning to take place. So that's kind of one thing that has gone away. Those who served with the music. Well, if we're not meeting, you can't serve through music for the time being. So some of the opportunities to serve have diminished because we are not meeting together. However, the need to serve has not gone away. And so while one opportunity is the door is closed on that right now, we have to keep on seeking the Lord to provide other opportunities for us to do our service. We are still Christians. No matter what is going on in the world, we are still required to serve. We have been called to freedom, and this freedom we are to use to serve one another through love. So let us respond to this coronavirus by seeking the Lord for the opportunities that He might provide for us to serve one another. And if you have any ideas, or if you are looking for some way to serve, we've already heard from a number of people who are willing to serve in certain capacities. Let's keep on talking about it and keep on communicating about it, because we need to come up with ways in which we can serve one another. Let me just say one more time that prayer should not be underestimated, and spending time in prayer is a significant way to serve others and to undergird them in the things that they're facing in this life. Until next time, I pray that God will bless you, and I'll be praying that the Lord will provide opportunities for you to serve Him.